This show is presented by the 323 Network. You can watch all your favorite 323 friends and shows on the 323 Network YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms at 323read, and support us as we continue to grow at patreon.com/323read. That's 323REID. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 323. I am your host, Reed Murphy.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Look at the show. I'm the captain.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Fuck Scott.
Good morning and welcome back, college football fans. This is College Shame Day presented by the 323. I am your host, Scott Ellia, and with me is the master of all things eerie within the spooky season, and that is Reed Murphy.
Spooky.
Reed, you gonna be handing out candy? I mean, you look like a full-size Snicker kind of bar kind of guy.
Careful with that candy bar. I don't plan to. The kids that we have in this neighborhood, I feel like they maybe stick me up for some candy, everything. I did a trunk or treat.
What's that supposed to mean?
Racism. Casual.
All right.
I did a trunk or treat last week. I handed out a lot of candy. How do we feel about trunk or treats being so much before Halloween?
I was just about to ask you how you just felt about trunk or treats just in general. I'm fine with them being so much further ahead of Halloween because especially like years like now where Halloween falls on a weekday, it's like as a parent, I don't want to take my kids out into the late hours of the night. They got school the next day. They're all going to be hopped up on candy and all cracked out. So I'm good with them doing the festivities ahead of time. And then even on Halloween night, that kind of limits like, hey, you already did all this like a week ago.
Yeah.
We'll go out for an hour or two. We'll hang out, go with your friends, stuff like that. But I just want to get your feelings on how you about what you feel about trunk or treats in general. Because for me, I don't know about you. We're not too far off in age, but trunk or treats weren't even a thing when I was these kids' ages. I remember the days of, having to hustle and you're going to like 3 or 4 neighborhoods that are trying to like interconnect with each other. You're not even going out and getting these plastic buckets that Target and Walmart and all these retailers have. I'm going out there I'm just going to the linen closet and grabbing a pillowcase,
right? And
I'm just running out the door,
right? Yeah, like I remember trunk or treats when I was like 7, 8 or 9, but they were only like at my church. So like it wasn't like a big mainstream thing yet. It was just like the church would do that every now and then. But no, I understand like the fear a little bit, like you're sending your kids to go trick-or-treating and who knows whose house is going to just like snatch somebody up or whatever. But we never had that fear when I was a kid. Like everybody in the neighborhood, like if the house was lit up, you go to it, you ring the doorbell, they give you candy or the candy's right there. I was never taken. I had one run-in with like the lady from like SpongeBob who's like chocolate, who had that like like that throat that stuck with me for like the rest of my life. But I'm down for good old fashioned trick or treating, but I understand the appeal of trunk or treating. It's fun. It's fun to be a part of trunk or treating and to like get the design going and being competitive with these like antsy ass parents who want to do everything super cool and shit. Nah. Overachievers. Yeah, I'm going to have a cool looking trunk and I'm going to give out good ass candy and be a fun time.
Listen, and for the parents who are overachievers, you're doing too much.
You are.
Just be there for the kids. That's all they care about. As a parent, things that I've learned, as long as you just show up.
Right.
They don't need their car decked out and all these decorations. You're just spending extra money on that shit. That's extra money that'd be good going towards their holiday season presents. We're all here at 323. I don't want to just say one holiday. I want to say all the holidays.
If you go to the 323 Network on YouTube, subscribe there. You can see our trunk or treat special from last year. It was me and Griffin just decked out doing a tailgate at a trunk or treat. That's the way you do it. You have a good old fashioned tailgate.
Wait, before we get into this spooky week 9, and it's not even Halloween week yet because there should be some games going on for Halloween coming up next week in week 10. I do have 2 things that I want to piggyback on something that you just mentioned in regards to trick or treating. One, to your SpongeBob moment. My little brother to this day will say this, tell everybody this story, whoever will listen, in regards to Halloween stories. There was one year, it was the first year we moved down to Virginia. Didn't really know anybody. We knew all the area we lived in, all the neighborhoods were kind of connected through backyards, and it was kind of a welcomed kind of acceptance just to walk through people's yards back then. Can't do that now with eminent domain and whatnot. But we were just walking around, and this lady, she was sitting at the end of her driveway. She was hanging out. She had cool decorations out. She was in a costume. She had a really great setup with a table and some chairs. It was like her and her husband. But we got confused. I looked at my dad. I was like, Dad, is that a crock pot on this lady's table? Is she just eating dinner out here? I mean, you're killing 2 birds, 1 stone. You're eating dinner, hot meal while you're handing out candy to kids. Okay, whatever. No, not a hot meal. This lady was handing out raviolis for Halloween. In little cups, little free sample cups, laying out around these raviolis to kids. And my dad was like, "Don't eat that. Don't eat that ravioli.
Don't eat that ravioli."
So
I just made a little too much. Have a ravioli, Jimmy.
And then, and lastly, but certainly not least, I think a really good gauge on ethics and how the goodness or badness of a person. If you were to go up to a door on a Halloween night for trick-or-treating and there's a bowl out there with a sign saying, "Please take one." You taking one? Are you a stickler for the rules, or are you saying, "Fuck you, it's your problem, you're not here, I'm taking the whole bowl"?
I'm trying to remember as a kid what I would do. I think I would take one. I think I was that kid. I was the good Mormon who would take one. I'd find the best candy that I could.
Surprised you were allowed to go trick-or-treating at that point.
Yeah. We were the ones who had the trunk or treat. I think we invented trunk or treats. The good old Mormons.
Yeah. Oh boy, folks. Well, and we did a really deep dive earlier this week with the last week's recap between the Wheel of Degenerate and the game of the week, and just what things that we saw within week 8 in college football. But 2 things that we didn't really touch up on, because I want to get Reed's thoughts on my player to watch, and if he feels that my assumption is too outlandish, or is there some kind of reality to it? But the quicker one would be my team to watch, and that is the Alabama Crimson Tide, who are now ranked 15th. They dropped 8 spots in the polls after their crucial loss to number 11 Tennessee, who are now number 7, 24-17 on the road. They're in Tennessee, pending some sort of miracle. They look to be out of not only a chance at the SEC title game, but also the college football playoff this year. Up next for them is the number 21 Missouri at home, followed by number 8 LSU on the road, then closing out the season with the Iron Bowl at home against Auburn. And Reed, I already got your thoughts on how you felt about Kalen DeBoer's first season, and if you felt like they're up to this, what your expectations were this year or not. Have those feelings changed since the Sunday hangover this week?
No, they haven't changed way too much. I think that ultimately, losing these games, hitting these bumps now in season 1, it sucks. It's a culture shock for the fans. But like we said, he inherited a team that, while it is Alabama, it's the Crimson Tide, it's, DeGoat's team. DeGoat's team wasn't as good as the college football playoff led us to believe last year. It was not one of the 4 best teams. It's a shell of a Bama team, and he got a shell of a shell this year. I think go ahead, take the lumps, hit the bumps, and get that out of the way now. It gives you a chance to really focus on the improvement next season, really starting to make this team your own. You're ironing out everything. You're getting out of the shadows a little bit. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be just fine. I still think he's going to be a great coach for this team. It sucks to be in the shadow of Nick Saban, but I ultimately still do believe that he'll be able to not turn this around. It's not a terrible season that they're having. It's just, the end of the world for Bama fans.
Yeah, and I couldn't be happier to see Alabama fans crying right now. But my player to watch, Reed, we've talked, week in and week out. He's at the top of my list for my Heisman watch list, and that's Ashton Michael Myers Jeanty himself. They're out of Boise State, but there's another running back that he's a very, very close second in this running back rankings, and that's Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. Just to give you a bit of a comparison, Reed, before I get your thoughts. Year to date for Ashton Jeanty, 126 carries, just barely under 1,250 yards, averaging about 10 yards a pop, 17 touchdowns this year. Caleb Johnson, year to date, 132 carries. So right there, neck and neck, about the same production. 1,035 yards rushing, just barely under 8 yards average per rush with 13 touchdowns. I mean, all the hype right now is around Ashton Jeanty potentially breaking Barry Sanders' season single rushing record of 26,028 yards, I believe. And not only that, but also his single season touchdown record of 37 touchdowns. But Reed, could we see this potentially happening twice this year with both Caleb and Ashton Jeanty playing at this high of a level? Or one of them going to fall off?
I think one of them's going to fall off. And if I had to bet, I like Caleb Johnson as well. I would bet that it's going to be him. We'll get one of those games where the Iowa offense just kind of stifled a little bit. I really do believe Ashton Jeanty is going to break that record. 2,628 rushing yards done in 88. Jeanty's just on another level. Like this dude is insane the way that he plays. And I love calling him Michael Myers because, and we'll throw the video up, the dude, the way he stands there just stalking the line is crazy, to the point we're starting to see some NFL players that are starting to do it. I remember seeing it a couple times last week where they stand there ready, like they're trying to play like a college player. Ashton Jeanty's going to be a phenom.
Right. And especially with, the very, very, very early mock drafts going out right now for the NFL, they have a certain team that could really use a running back, a stud running back that is right now, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure Jerry Jones would love to get his hands on a talent like Ashton Jeanty, but I feel that you're right. I think Caleb would be the one that would fall off. I mean, he's already lagging behind a little bit now, but I mean, if you just look at their schedules neck and neck for the rest of the season, I mean, for Ashton, playing in the Mountain West, they're on the road at UNLV. Actually, peek behind the curtain, they're playing tonight, Reed, at 10:30. So they'll be on after we're done talking.
They'll be on after we're done, like, being alive for the night.
Right. But following this week, they'll be at home against San Diego State and Nevada, and then on the road against San Jose State and Wyoming, and then closing out the season at home against Oregon State. So that schedule looks a lot more user-friendly than Caleb's, because they're at home against Northwestern and Wisconsin. Then they're on the road against UCL and Maryland. And Maryland, by the way, did you see Maryland last week?
I did not. What happened?
They pulled one of the funniest upsets, I feel, in recent years, because they travel. Because you see how the whole implosion with the Pac-12, right?
Yeah.
Like the Pac-12 just completely got discombobulated, and the USC Trojans, they were the ones that were kind of like spearheading that, trying to get out of the Pac-12 and go like, oh, we can go to the Big Ten, we can go compete with the big boys. No, you lose by 1 to Maryland. You travel to the East Coast and you lose to the Terrapins, of all people. And then people were just saying USC is just, what was the team they said? I can't forget. It was really funny. I wish I remembered it. So I failed the show again. So I apologize, everybody. But no, I'm very interested. I'm very excited to see what Ashton Jeanty is going to do for the rest of the season with the schedule like that. I really do feel he's on pace right now to break it. Now, by how much, that I don't know. But I do worry, especially with college football playoff implications. We'll get into that here in a second. You could see potentially maybe Ashton wants to start shutting himself down to save himself for the draft, because you see that every single year. Do you see that happening? Or
I could see it happening, and now that's where I'm starting to doubt my own prediction a little bit, as like he needs 13 from the calculations I'm seeing, and this is not counting the game that's being played Friday night. like we said, that's happening after we're done recording, so I don't know how many yards he's going to wind up picking up, but he's going to need 13, looks like about 1,380 yards, 1,380 rushing yards to tie Barry Sanders. That's averaging out with 6 games to play, including tonight's. That's going to be 230 yards a game, which, I mean, it's the way we've seen Michael Myers play. He has been slaughtering defenses like that. I mean, he could have some massive blow-up game, but like you said, with a college football playoff attempt trying to be made and the NFL draft calling, I could definitely see him wanting to slow it down a little bit and not completely use up all the juice that he's got, especially with how we've seen running back contracts go in the NFL, where they get taken in the first round, 5 years, boom, you're out of it, and you get nothing in terms of a great long-term deal. So, yeah, I could see him trying to slow down a little bit here in these 6 games, especially when they might not need him as much.
Right. Exactly. But there are some teams out there that are going to need their players to play at a high level all throughout the rest of this season. We are officially at the halfway mark right now, Reed. So congratulations. We made it. We're over the hump. Where's my fanfare? Where is it? We
made it. Better.
There we go. Hooray. So what's that mean, Reed? What's now we got to start looking and see what does this college football playoff going to be looking like with the expanded 12-team playoff. And for folks who aren't in the know as much as Reed or I, or for some reason didn't want to listen to the preseason show that we did a couple weeks ago, shame on you. But there are a couple interesting rules that you have to remember now about the 12-team college football playoff format. To rattle them off just really quick before we get into who looks like are the favorites right now based on the AP rankings. The 12 participating teams will be the 5 conference champions ranked highest by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, plus the next 7 highest ranked teams. The ranking of the teams will continue to be done by the selection committee. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4 and will receive a first round bye. The 5th conference champion will be seeded where it was ranked or at number 12 if it is outside of the top 12 rankings. Non-conference champions ranked in the top 4 will be seeded beginning at number 5. Because of this, the seeding 1 through 12 could look a little bit different. So, i.e., Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They have Notre Dame gets squeaks in there. They cannot be any higher than 5, no matter what. And then, of course, as far as what it looks like for playing, the 8 teams seeded 5 through 12 will play in the first round, with the higher seeds hosting the lower seeds either on campus or at other sites designated by the higher seeded institution. So 12 plays 5, 12's at 5, 11's at 6, 10's at 7, 9's at 8, blah, 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 blah. And we won't get lost in the weeds with all the rest of it. But as of right now, and based on my interpretation of those rules and the criteria, based on the AP, Oregon would be number 1 out of the Big Ten. Georgia would be number 2 out of the SEC. Miami would be 3 out of the ACC. Iowa State would be 4 at the Big 12. So those are your 4 that are getting first round buys. So they're getting a little bit of extra rest and recuperation. After that, you got Penn State coming in at 5, Ohio State coming in at 6, Texas coming in at 7, Tennessee coming in at 8, LSU at 9, Clemson at 10, your BYU Cougars at number 11, and 12, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Which, it could play out really, really well. I mean, there's some teams like Army and Navy and Boise State and Indiana, like a lot of these teams that are catching a lot of really great national hype right now with their play, like they still would be missing it. But, I mean, talk about a cash cow of
Right.
college football playoff. I mean, it's not as dominated with the SEC as you would think. I mean, it's pretty much an even split between the SEC and the Big Ten, and then you have 2 Big 12 teams in there, an independent team, an extra ACC team. So it's pretty even keeled. But I would be interested to see Notre Dame traveling to Penn State and seeing that game.
Yeah,
before. Like that would be interesting. Or like BYU and Ohio State. Like that would be a very interesting game. But But before I get your thoughts on how accurate you feel that would be, I want to give you my quick predictions on who, based off of play and where I could see the end of the season going, who I feel these top 12 teams are going to be ranked 1 to 12. So 1's Oregon. I think that's the safest bet you can make right now. And Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. Number 2, still Georgia. It's Kirby Smart. You know, speeding tickets aren't going to stop them, and allegations of physical harm aren't going to stop any players for Georgia. So they're going to be at number 2. This is where it's going to shake up a little bit. I got Clemson jumping all the way 3, where nobody expected them. I feel like they could be the team that could edge out Miami in that ACC championship game. I mean, Miami's defense looks very suspect at times, and Clemson's offense is performing at a high level. They're just doing it in a very sneaky fashion, very under the radar. I could see them coming in and getting the ACC championship to propel them up to 3. And then at number 12, same thing here. I'm swapping out Iowa State for BYU at the 4.
I was going to say the same.
The energy coming out of BYU and the hype coming out of there and the players playing as at a high level as they are, I could see them taking down the Cyclones in Iowa State. And they get a very well-deserved, what a weird top 4 of Oregon, Georgia, Clemson, and BYU.
Be wildly strange, but it would also, I think, immediately justify this expansion of the playoff, just to make it more interesting and to bring in more interest from a wide variety of fan bases.
Well, and even after that, it's not really shaken up that much from 5 to 12. I mean, I still got Penn State pretty much in the same order: Penn State, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, LSU. Miami's just swaps down with Clemson, so Miami would potentially have to play, I guess, Texas. Talk about toxic
that would be
bowl.
I know. Oh my God.
And then followed up by Notre Dame and Boise State, and having Boise State sneaking in there, winning the Mountain West. That would be a very fun game to watch with Boise State and Penn State, and seeing what they would end up doing down the road. Now, are there any teams that I haven't mentioned that you feel could sneak in to one of these games, or is it fairly all said and done at this point? Because Alabama's not getting in there, right? I mean, Texas A&M maybe. If they were to win.
Texas A&M maybe. I'll still even say Alabama maybe, just because of the power of the Crimson Tide.
Can't keep getting away with this.
I know that, and eventually they won't. But it's going to take a minute. But maybe they'll be off the high horse with Saban. The only one I study, because I do follow BYU to a degree and listen to their station. Kansas State is one that I would slightly consider it, if only because of this weekend's game with BYU playing UCF. And I know that BYU is a slight favorite over UCF in there, but it came close against Oklahoma State last week. And I feel like a loss to UCF would all of a sudden rake Kansas State back into the fold of it. But we could see. Otherwise, I think you hit it pretty on the head. It's hard to see a lot of those shaking up at all, especially Oregon. I'm with you on Clemson over Miami there for the ACC champion, and Georgia. I mean, Georgia's just a powerhouse,
right? Well, going back to the Big 12, like you said, that Kansas State Wildcat team, especially led by Avery Johnson right now, they are very, very fun to watch. I really enjoy watching their running back DJ Giddens. So he's one player I would say go watch his tape. But in any of these conferences, if you have 2 or more losses in conference, you're pretty much done. There's no way you're going to get back in there pending some kind of massive implosion. Mm-hmm. So if you're still a undefeated in conference play, or you have 1 loss in the conference, you're still kind of alive. So with the Big 12, hey, who's right there at 3-1 in the conference in the Big 12 and slowly creeping up? Colorado Buffaloes.
Oh no.
Could it happen?
you know they would love to see it happen.
Colorado in the very first ever expanded college football playoff.
If they can't have Saban, they got to have his scene partner.
Listen, the next 5 games for them, they're all in conference. So if they win out, man, it could happen.
It's a wild ride.
And
All the stuff is happening. They already said the New York Giants sent a convoy of people to go check them. Check out Shador.
you know what? And we won't get lost in the weeds with that one, but I am actually gonna make a physical note for myself and stick it on the computer, so that way when we're having Ricks versus Grix talk or talking, Sunday hangover stuff, I do want to bring up one thing about Shador Sanders and the NFL draft. But dude, I don't see Alabama sneaking in there. They're a 2-loss team in conference. I mean, they have 7 people ahead of them ranked. They're all ranked, mind you, aside from Ole Miss, they're ranked 18th, but they're like way down there in the conference rankings. But I mean, they'd have to beat out, Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas. Oh, and by the way, a team who will just announce it right now is this week's College Shame Day Game of the Week. We already named one right there. Number 5 Texas Longhorns traveling to the number 25 Vanderbilt Commodores. Reed, we're going to Nashville. Ray, you better get ready because we're coming.
We're coming for you, baby.
The giant killers, Vanderbilt Commodores. I mean, could it happen again? I mean, they took down number 1 Alabama 40-35 a couple weeks ago. They got number 5 Texas coming into town right now. I mean, I was already seeing pictures of their stadium, and they're already prepping with netting around the stands, so that way they could try not to, temper the expectations of a field rush. But I mean, if they beat Texas at home, that field's done, right?
Oh, it's done. Yeah, there's not a goalpost that's safe. They might go find like another one, like some local high school field. They're gonna tear that shit down too.
Oh, but a really quick overview for you all at home who aren't very much in the know of Vanderbilt. Texas suffered a double-digit loss at home to Georgia, ending their unbeaten streak. Despite the loss, Texas remains in contention for the college football playoff. The Longhorns aim to rebound against a competitive Vanderbilt team, which recently upped to Alabama, like we mentioned. Texas are 8.5. I mean, unless it's changed recently on FanDuel, Texas is currently an 18.5-point favorite, Reed. I mean, I don't feel comfortable taking I don't think they're going to cover. I think I would be more tempted to take Vanderbilt plus 18.5. I think they'll keep it close. But for them to score by more than 2.5 touchdowns, I mean, I don't see that happening.
It's a tough bet because Texas has to respond. They have to respond because last week it wasn't just bad to lose, to get your ass beat by Georgia, right? I mean, it's Georgia. It's Georgia. It can happen. It's a powerhouse team. But to lose that way, especially against Carson Beck, who did not have a good game, and where you hit the panic button, that's the problem. They hit Steve Sarkisian hit the panic button in that game, and I think he hit it a little bit too early in the benching of Quinn Ewers. And benching Quinn Ewers to put in Arch Manning, and that didn't change anything. It didn't help anything, and you saw that, and now you've probably created a tense environment. You've created an untrusting environment. If I were Quinn Ewers, I'd be untrusting of it, and I'd be a little paranoid of how short the leash apparently is, especially when I didn't think that Sark would do that to him this year. This dude has first-round projection status right now in the NFL draft. Don't bench the kid and completely tank his stock right now. This is going to be a big response game. I could see Quinn Ewers going off against Vanderbilt in this just to try and show something or prove something. But if shit goes south, I think it tumbles quick, and I would not be shocked if Vanderbilt managed to come out of this with a surprise win because you have a reeling team coming there.
Listen, regardless of who lands on the Wheel of Degenerate this week, I will be putting money on Vanderbilt just to say fuck it. Just to do it. I mean, it's all upside at that point. I mean, like I said, they're plus 18.5.
I would at least take them at plus 18.5.
Right. I mean, and it's still 18.5 right now as I was looking at it, but I wanted to see what the money line was as of right now. Oh, plus 680.
Yikes.
10 to win 68. I mean, why not? I mean, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Just throw it down.
Right. And I mean, you named one of the key player for Texas was Quinn Ewers. Like you said, benched in the first half against Georgia, returned in the second when Arch Manning was seeing ghosts out there in the field. I'm just interested to see if Ewers is going to alleviate Coach Sarkisian's concerns with a strong performance against Vanderbilt and maybe further solidify his number one spot, because I think, like you said, if he goes out there and he's embarrassed and he just completely craps his pants, I wouldn't be totally shocked that he sat for the rest of the year, or at least for the next game, and have Arch Manning just start the next game.
Yeah, I feel so bad for.
I'll tell you one quarterback I'm not feeling bad for. That's Diego Pavia, the quarterback out of Vanderbilt. What a great story. New Mexico State transfer with over 1,900 total yards, 14 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. Pavia has just completely revitalized Vanderbilt's offense, which now ranks within the top 40. I'm just very. I want to temper my expectations, because you hear about these guys year in and year out that come out completely out of nowhere. You know, like Desmond Ridder. Ridder came out of fucking nowhere, and he just played his ass off, and he got into the draft. I mean, I could see Diego Pavia coming into the NFL maybe as like a Julian Edelman-esque kind of situation, where he just gets transitioned to a slot receiver, like a 4th-string slot receiver, just to be out there. But I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. I'm really rooting for the guy.
It's such a great college football quarterback name,
right?
Diego Pavia. That's something we're gonna grab out of like the deep ether of our mind in 15 years and just get a great smile.
You know, he's gonna be one of those guys where you're sitting around a campfire with your buddies, you're just naming very obscure football players. You just remember 2024 with Diego Pavia beat Alabama.
People just throwing out random names. Curtis
Rourke.
Now
Jesus Christ. Now I won't give anybody my exact call on where I feel this game's gonna go, but I will give you a little bit of analysis behind my decision process. You know, Texas is favored because there is a very noticeable talent gap between Texas and Vanderbilt, just top to bottom. Vanderbilt's offense, yes, it has been effective. Focusing on maintaining possession and converting third downs was as crucial at any level of the game. Vanderbilt's undefeated against the spread this season, covering as double-digit underdogs against ranked teams like Missouri and Alabama. So like I said, if they're giving you 18.5, you might want to just take it. Texas does have that firepower to dominate, but they may opt out for a controlled game to manage injuries and avoid further risks, especially with a second bye week approaching. So if they get up by a lot, I could see them just slowing down as far as scoring goes there. And Vanderbilt's ability to move the ball presents a huge challenge for Texas, making the matchup potentially closer than expected. But I'm hoping the lame of the week is going to be a little closer than what's expected, Reed, because week in and week out we always shit on these teams. We shit on these teams that are winless or one-loss teams, or it's a matchup between very bad teams. But I'm gonna take one for the team, Reed. You want to know what this week's lame of the week is?
I think I just guessed it.
Florida State at number 6, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
The season has just been a complete letdown. Finger pointing is all over the locker room as to where the issues are, with no big real fix. But I think this is going to be the week that things are going to turn around. I think we can go down to Miami and shock them and circumcise the state of Florida. Now there's a potential curse going on right now in Florida State. I don't know if you're hip to what's going on right now in Tallahassee.
No.
Okay. So after the Georgia Tech loss, and to open the season, a Twitter user said that they would eat dog poop.
Oh, I remember this.
If they lost the following game against Boston College. Fast forward, they lost, and then the Twitter user fell off the face of the earth.
Yep.
Fast forward to now, trying to figure out any reason why this implosion has happened. A Florida State fan by the name of DJ Ventura has made the ultimate sacrifice after the loss against Duke. Mind you, this was the first time that Duke has ever beaten Florida State in program history, and he ate dog poop on video. It has been all over college football Twitter. So if you're curious, Reed, I'm not going to show you or the fans watching on the YouTube channel. We're not bringing that here. It's already a shameful act. I don't want to bring in a visual to it, but if you're curious, go find it. Now, will this change? I mean, if FSU wins at Miami and potentially the rest of the season, I feel that fan needs season tickets for life.
Oh, 100%. If they get this win tomorrow, you need him there. He's earned it.
He's just... Now,
it's a terrible standard set, but he did a great thing for your program.
I mean, and that's truly not shameful.
No,
to sacrifice yourself.
Would
you do it?
I was going to ask. You're the FSU fan. Would you have done it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, there's
no way.
Like I'm from Philly or something.
Listen,
Get the fuck out of here.
Listen, I'm white. I'm not that white. I mean, let's be honest.
Wait, what was this guy's name again?
DJ Ventura.
Okay. Was he?
I saw the video. He looked white.
Okay. All right. Sounds white enough. Yeah.
Oh man. You know, white enough. You know, almost kind of like Drew Carey, right? Or
yeah.
Pat Sajak. Pat Sajak, you know, host of the Wheel of Fortune, but we're going to bring you the Wheel of Misfortune and bring it up the wheel, Reed.
Transition.
Ooh, that might be a really great new name for this segment, Reed. The Wheel of Misfortune, because that's what we are this week. I mean, because we have not hit once this whole time. Just to recap for the fans at home, last week's Wheel of Degenerate, of course, did not pay off. Again, we got very close, but again, fuck you, Auburn. We got into that in length during the Hangover show this week. And then Scott just needs to stop taking the flyers with WVU against Kansas State. He just needs to stop doing that. The schedule this week, it's kind of quiet. I mean, you got Nebraska at number 4, Ohio State. You got what I would have wanted to be in the game of the week this week, would have been the number 12 Notre Dame Fighting Irish at number 24 Navy, but they're playing at MetLife, so that's going to be a really fun game to watch. Washington's traveling to number 13 Indiana. Oklahoma's going to number 18 Ole Miss. Number 20 Illinois is at number 1 Oregon. Your number 11 BYU is at UCF. Like you said, I'm very intrigued with that game, and if they can go into hostile territory like that in Florida and come out with a win, that'll be great. A game that could, all but kill the SEC championship hopes between Missouri and Alabama this week. They go head-to-head. Your college shame day game of the week, Texas at number 25 Vanderbilt. Florida State at Miami. We already got into that. And then you got LSU. We got number 3 Penn State at Wisconsin. Number 8 LSU at number 14 Texas A&M. Kansas at 16 Kansas State. And number 22 SMU at Duke. Oh, and by the way, Reed, I believe College Game Day presented by ESPN. I think they're going to Indiana game.
Yeah, they are.
Late.
Bandwagon assholes.
Yeah. Bandwagon. Now, are any of those games that we mentioned, are any of them sticking out to you that you would like to see on this game day ticket? I don't like this one.
Not that one. Yeah, I was going to say BYU
number 22
UCF.
SMU at Duke. I mean, both of these teams beat my Florida State Seminoles, so I wish that they both would just lose, but I guess we'll just take them.
I might have upsetting news for you in a second.
Oh no. Oh geez. I mean, it's almost as upsetting as what this 5-game parlay is going to be looking like, because number 2 on the board is number 20 Illinois at Oregon. What's your upsetting news before I spin this wheel?
It was a message from DJ Ventura on Instagram. He put out a statement. Hello, everyone. I want to clear the air about the video posted on October 19th. Over the past few days, I've received backlash for the shock and discomfort that the video brought to many people. I feel the need to clarify that the video was staged for humor and is fake. He didn't eat the poop.
As we're rolling into, as you're talking to me about this, the third game on the college shame day Wheel Degenerate betting slip is the Florida State Seminoles at number 6 Miami. God damn it, Reed. Why did you do that?
He said, I regret deceiving so many fans and students of FSU. We are a strong community united over our shared love, pride, and dedication for our school. He doubled down on the curse, Scott.
No.
You are.
No, you know what?
They're gonna.
If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. I'm taking you with me because the fourth game is the number 11 BYU Cougars at UCF.
The Seminoles are going to lose by 80.
No, I don't want it. Oh God. Okay, so Reed, these games left over. So let's bring it back down. Let's bring it back down after you just crushed my soul. To recap the 4 games on the ticket so far, number 20, Illinois at number 1, Oregon, number 11, BYU at UCF, Florida State at number 6, Miami, and number 22, SMU at Duke. Now, left on the ticket, you have the Ohio State game. You have Indiana and Kurt Cignetti. I mean, if you want to get a team who's going to try to get you that win that you need on this betting slip, Indiana is a really good bet. Or you could take the giant killer in Vanderbilt. They're still on the board. Are these any games standing out to you that you would love to see on here?
I would say Indiana, but fuck ESPN for bandwagoning on us.
Yep.
Vanderbilt.
I don't want the Navy game because I don't want to bet against America and have the Irishman win.
I know. No matter what, if you
dirty Irishman.
Yeah, No, I'll say it.
I can say that.
You can say that. I can't.
I can say that. You can't say that. Don't you dare say that.
I can say it about Godzilla, but I'm not bringing that back up.
But to say you're already catching enough heat with Shohei Ohtani right now, calling him Godzilla.
I did not call him Godzilla. What's sorry in Japanese?
Oh yeah. You gotta. It was Jason versus Michael.
Oh yeah, Freddy. Yeah, Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, Freddy versus Jason. Oh, look at this, Freddy versus Jason. Oh, Brian Kelly. No. Do I want to bet on Brian Kelly with the number 8 LSU Tigers at 14 Texas A&M? Like, that is just yucky. And I'm not doing what I did last week, folks. I'm not putting the 6th game on here because that just killed it. Because I believe that 6th game that we spun was at West Virginia game, and that's why I decided to kind of go crazy.
A lot of stress last week.
Dude, I was so stressed last week with all my parlays between the NFL stuff going on, between the college all Saturday. But, folks, it's going to shake up to be a really great weekend. To remind you all, I am not going to give you these picks right now. The only place that you can find that is going to be the official College Shame Day Instagram page at 323 College Shame Day. It will be posted along a lot of other fun little exciting things. We got the Saturday swap going on, seeing whose team looks the best in the other team's colors. But Reed, what do you have planned for the 323 main channel going on right now?
We have a lot of great, of course, all the typical NFL content. Our NFL preview show is already up for week 8, but we also have plenty of spooky season content coming up. I brought up the trunk or treat from last week, or from last year, but we also had some great Terrifier 3 talk. We have been diving into the scariest non-scary movies, which has already brought up some very fun engagement regarding that. And, of course, we're going to be having our Halloween spectacular for Ricks vs. Gricks this coming week. It will come out on Halloween Day, a day early for our picks. So it's going to be an exciting time. And I would just like to say to Shohei Ohtani and his lawyers, Moshiwaki Mopson. I bungled that too, so don't sue me more. Have you ever seen Japanese King Kong? It's wild. I just saw the
Google Japanese King Kong.
I just saw an image of the original Kong versus Godzilla, and Japanese King Kong is crazy. It's just a guy in a monkey suit, going to town.
Oh, that's clearly racist. I'm looking at it right now.
So you know what?
They cancel Aunt Jemima for that.
I want an apology now.
From Shohei?
I want an apology from Ohtani.
Oh my gosh. Thank you again, Reed, for joining the show today. And folks, again, don't miss out. Again, so that isn't shameful. Don't miss out on our monthly giveaway for a chance to win a $25 Fanatics gift card to grab your own brand new college game day gear. All you got to do is follow the Shame Day Instagram at 323 College Shame Day for a chance to win. 2 clicks of a button. Click the profile, click follow, and then you set it and forget it. Just like I've said last week, it's like all my favorite meals during the fall. Desserts, breakfast, everything.
Chilies.
Set and forget in your crock pot. Mm-hmm. But if you want to zhuzh that meal up a little bit, get some extra sides, get fancy stuff, put on a couple likes, comments, sharing this post, get you some extras in there to win. But until next time, folks, have a great Saturday. Embrace the shame, and thank you again for listening.
Stay safe, folks.
Don't tell them what to do.
I'm sorry.
It's Halloween weekend, folks. Go have some fun.
Get lit.